Hi there, I'm Corey, and this is your 30 minutes of yoga. Let's get started. To begin, place your hands back behind you and start to move your legs around. So maybe that's moving your toes side to side. Maybe it's flexing and pointing your feet. Could be bending one knee and the other. Just to get a sense of how things are going today for your joints and your muscles there. Then come back to center and create a comfortable seat for yourself. I'm going to choose easy pose, which is with ankles simply crossed. If you have props with you, like I do, maybe use a blanket or a block to prop your hips up just for these couple moments here at the very beginning. Then find a couple fidgets to create a taller spine. For me, that's often rolling my shoulders back, thinking of pressing down through my hips, activating my abs, and then elongating my neck, like I've immediately become a giraffe or a brontosaurus. And then I close my eyes. Maybe you do that too. Now take a moment to allow your body to be still. Notice how it feels. There's no need to attach any labels to it. No need to put a word with it unless you like to do that. This is the sensation that I would ask you to look for in your practice today. When we get into a pose that you might hold for a number of breaths, can you find this same place? This location, this experience, the feeling inside of you that does not move, even when your body is moving, when the world is moving. Now, let's take 3 7-second breaths before we get into movement together. Take an exhale, get all the way to empty, and close your mouth. Now, through our noses, let's breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Try to get up to 6 and 7. Then breathe out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more, just like that. Breathe in. 3, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 6, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Inhale. 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then open your eyes and roll forward onto your hands and knees. If you had a blanket or a block underneath of you, you can move it to the side for now. Spread your fingers out wide. Try to get as much surface area of your palms in connection with the mat as you can. Then do the same thing for your knees, your shins, and even the tops of your feet. Try to get maybe even the fronts of your ankles can touch. If they don't worry about it. Now press down through everything. Elongate through your joints. So right away, see if you can think about expanding through your elbows in both directions. And then the same thing in your hips. Can you press down through your knees so it's almost like your femurs get longer, or the space right where your thigh bone plugs in gets longer, has more breathing room. Now let's inhale, arch the back, get into cow pose, and exhale, come into cat, rounding your ribs. Good, go again. Breathe in, back bend. Keep thinking length through your elbows. Breathe out. Chin to the chest, forehead toward your navel. Last one like this. Inhale and exhale. Now tuck your toes, lift your knees up, and step your feet back. Maybe walk your hands forward to get into plank pose right away. Take an inhale here, and then exhale to bend your knees and press your hips up and back. It's not downward dog yet. I'll call it almost downward dog. Then inhale forward into plank, shoulders over wrists. Keep thinking length through your elbows, through your knees, and exhale to almost downward dog. Bend your knees, stick your butt up high. Last one, inhale forward to plank. Exhale backward to almost downward facing dog. Then inhale, move forward into plank. Set your knees down, keep your shoulders forward, and bend your elbows to lie down on your belly. Now take your hands away from the ground and reach your elbows back as though they could actually touch your heels. When you do that, you'll feel your shoulder blades come down your back. Now do your best to keep them there. Don't change a thing, and lift your chest with an inhale. You might not be able to get very high, but make sure your shoulders stay down, away from your ears. And then exhale to release. Go one more time like that. Maybe go a little higher. Inhale to lift, and exhale to lower. Then lift back up to plank, whether it's on your knees or straight legs. And then move back into downward facing dog. You have the next 5 breaths in downward dog to fidget however you like. Continue to breathe in and out through your nose. Maybe it's 7-second breaths that you're working with, or perhaps that's the goal that you have in mind as you breathe. Maybe it's something else, but nose breathing is much better for your body, far more efficient than mouth breathing. Give it one more breath. Now walk your hands back to your feet. Bend your knees and round all the way up to stand. Let your head come up last so your chin stays touching your chest, almost to the very end. Then lift your head and place the cherry on top. Now inhale, lift your arms up by your ears, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale to arch your back, look forward. Exhale, fold forward again. Inhale, walk your hands forward into plank. And exhale, bend your elbows to lower down to your belly. Just like before, you're welcome to place your knees down if you like. Now inhale into cobra pose, with hands or without. Keep thinking elbows back, shoulders down or wide. And then exhale to lower down. Take an inhale, lift up into plank of some variety. And exhale back into downward facing dog. You have 2 full breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. Take one more on your own. Then look forward. As you inhale, bend your knees, lift your heels, walk or hop to the front. And as you exhale, forward fold. Inhale to stand up. You can round up or arch your back, whatever you prefer. Lift your arms up high. Keep breathing in. Stay standing and exhale, lower your arms down by your sides. Let's do one more like that. Inhale, lift your arms up. Sun salutation A. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arch your back. Then exhale, place your hands down, step your feet back. Keep exhaling to lower down from plank to the bottom. Don't breathe in yet. Breathe in when you get to the back bend. It's cobra pose. It could become upward dog if you like that. Then exhale back into downward facing dog. Take one more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to lift your heels. Bend your knees and walk or hop forward. Use the exhale to forward fold. Inhale stands you all the way up. Lift your arms up to frame your head. And then exhale, lower your arms down by your sides. Now inhale, bend your knees, sit down into chair pose. Your arms could be forward or they could be all the way up. Then exhale to forward fold. Inhale your left foot up and back behind you into the air. Then exhale to place it down way back behind you. So you're in a low lunge. Use an inhale to lift up into high lunge. Press down through your right heel for stability. Then exhale, place your hands down, step forward. Inhale into chair pose. Then exhale, place your hands down. Inhale your right foot up and back into the air. Exhale, step to the back. From low lunge, you're coming up to high lunge as you breathe in. And place your hands down. As you breathe out, step to plank. Bend your elbows, lower down. It's cobra pose or maybe upward dog, which is cobra pose, just lifting your hips. Keep thinking shoulder blades down. Extend through your elbows. Then exhale, press back into downward facing dog. 2 breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Breathe in. And out. Inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees, and get your feet up to the front of the mat somehow. The exhale is your forward fold. Inhale into chair pose. Exhale to stand up straight. Now, slide your feet together and turn your right toes to the right side, just about 45 degrees. I'll do it right here. So not, a full 90, just 45. Place your hands on your hips and then move your heel up above your ankle, or you could decide to keep going. Place it below your knee, or you could go all the way above your knee. Usually it helps me if I get my hand to help out there. That's it. Keep your hands where you like. It could be staying on your hips. It could be palms together in front of you. Any kind of variation works for me, whatever you prefer. Taking your tree pose. We'll be here for the next 5 breaths. If you're looking for more challenge, a different variation that way, it could be lifting some of your toes away from the ground. Or you could go the other way. Work to lift your heel up. So it's just the front half lifting or the back half kind of lifting. You've got one more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Land your right foot, bend your knees, sit down into chair pose, and take your hands to your hips for a moment. Now play around with a bit of hip swivel, or extending one side and the other, which just means reaching your right butt down more, and then your left butt down. It's like doing a bit of a, I guess a shimmy is with the shoulders, but it's kind of like doing it with your hips. Finding more length on one side and more length on the other. Cool. Now that you have that action, you are set up for this fidget to happen in triangle pose. So now place your hands down on the ground, step your left foot back, and spin your heel all the way down so that your left toes now point to the left side of the mat. Now it could be that you use your hand just touching the ground, or as I've done, maybe you grab your block if you have one of those, which could be a book or something like that. And place it somewhere inside your foot. Usually for me, for triangle pose, it helps if it's slightly behind my ankle. Then work to straighten your right knee. Now, here's where the hip swivel comes into play. So it might be that you bend your knee and then swivel your hips. It's almost like a little bit of rotation, moving your hips side to side. Here in triangle pose, I think about sending my right hip back first and then straightening my right knee. I see some people in photographs, stock images and things will not do that, and they'll have their hip forward like this as though they're trying to get their belt buckle touching the side. And you can see the difference in my body. I'm finding a side bend, which feels really nice here and like it's doing some work, but I think it's more interesting And perhaps, although a little more complex, more useful to the body to have this hip come back, because then both sides of my body and my spine can be really long here. You see the difference in the line. Make your version of triangle pose, whichever one it is, and we'll stay for the next 3 breaths. Whatever you're up to, can you keep looking to find more length through all of your joints? And perhaps you remember or realize that your spine is simply a whole bunch of joints, many of which can move a little, some of them can move a little more. Last breath here. Now release. Make your way back up to stand. You can move your block over to the side. And then bend your front knee, pass through Warrior 2 to get your hands down on the mat. You can lift your back heel and place your back knee down. Now reach your right hand up toward the ceiling to find the counter twist here. So the closed twist to the right side. If you like, you could lift your back knee up to make it a little more challenging. You could also be straightening your right knee and bending if that feels good. But if any of those things take away from you finding a twist that feels awesome in your body, then maybe let them go. You've got one more breath. Then release. Straighten your right knee and turn all your toes to the left side so you can be in a wide-legged straddle, just like I am here. Now it might be that you have a block under one or both hands. It could be that you're just using finger stand like I'm using, or maybe it's palms. If you're in any of those, perhaps you relax your head and neck and slowly allow your legs to take over so that they're taking most of the weight. If you find your hands are already on the ground, you could be walking them wide, walking them forward, walking them backward. All kinds of options here. Wherever you are, work to fold. As you press down through your feet, can you extend through your knees? Can you expand in your ankles and make more space in your hips, particularly the place where your thighs plug into your body? One more breath here. Then release. Turn all the way to the right side. So you're in a low lunge. Then step your right foot back to the left. Get into plank pose. Then lower down to your belly. Use the exhale to do it. Take an inhale to back bend. Could be low or high. And exhale to downward dog or child's pose. Always an option. Take 2 more breaths. Noticing how your body feels after one side. Last breath, perhaps looking forward to the next one. Now look forward, use your inhale, lift your heels, bend your knees, take a walk or a hop, get up to the front, and pass through chair pose as you come all the way up to stand. Now it's time for the left side. Slide your feet together, turn your left toes to the left side, 45 degrees, and slide your heel up above your ankle, or below your knee, or above your knee. Then decide on somewhere for your hands and arms to go, just to give them a direction. And then stay for 5 breaths. As you stay, can you get a little taller, which might mean extending through your standing leg. Maybe it also means extending up through your spine. 2 breaths to go. That tends to be how things go. You might think of the downward energy, the push of all the muscles from the hips below, and then the pull upward of all the muscles from the hips up. All right, as you finish this breath, slide your foot back down. Land in chair pose. Take your hands to your hips, and this time, rather than extending from one side to the other through your obliques, maybe you find a little bit of twist just in your hips, and your knees will have to move to help you do that, because the low back doesn't twist so much without the legs also helping to adjust. All right, once you have some sense of that, place your hands down on the mat, step your right foot back, and spin your heel down so that your feet are perpendicular to one another. Then maybe you find your block, or perhaps you don't. You might keep your left knee bent as you reach your right hand to your hip or up toward the ceiling, and then work to straighten your left knee to move into triangle pose. We'll take 5 breaths here. Maybe you play with rotating your hips one way or the other. If you're looking for the triangle pose that I prefer in my body, that I spoke about, here it would be pulling your left hip back and rotating your right hip forward. Two and a half breaths left. Last one. Bend your left knee and release your hands down to the ground. Then stand all the way up. Straighten your left knee. Now bend your knee. Move through Warrior 2 to get your hands to the ground. Then lift your right heel and place your knee down. Then lift your left hand up and find your closed twist here. You might add on, just as you did on the other side, lifting your right knee up, straightening your left knee. Whatever you're up to, make sure that it serves your body. 2 breaths to go. Last one. And release. Place your hand down and step back into plank pose. Bend your elbows to lower down. Inhale, arch your back. And exhale back to child's pose, just for a single breath. Inhale, fill up your back. Exhale, sink into the earth. And sit yourself up. Maybe move a block underneath of your seat, or it could be a blanket. Step your feet together. Open your knees wide. It's up to you how close your heels are to your hips. They could be really close, or somewhere in the middle, or really far away, whatever you prefer. And then inhale to get tall, and start to walk your hands forward. Try to keep your spine long as far as you can, and then when you can't anymore, round over. Work to get your nose to your toes, or maybe it's your forehead toward your heels if your feet are farther away. For the next 3 breaths, can you allow the muscles in your hips to let go just 0.1% more. The next time you breathe in, make your way out. You might use your hands to close the book here. Bring your knees together. Now please lie down on your back. Draw your knees into your chest. Send Send your arms down by your sides. Push down into your hands and lift your hips up and away from the mat. If they don't come up and you feel like you can't quite stay, maybe you bend your elbows so you can support there. Maybe it takes a couple rolls back and forth to lift up. Whatever you got, maybe you stay here in this pseudo shoulder stand. You might think about extending your legs up and overhead to touch the ground. Or maybe extend one or both legs up toward the ceiling. Now, if this pose feels intense, it's okay as long as you have space between your chin and your chest. Nothing feels like shooting, stabbing, or burning. It just takes some time for your body to get used to it. Often when I practice shoulder stand or plow pose, when I do it the first time each day, it often feels intense for the first few breaths. My shoulders feel tight, or my neck feels tight. But after a few breaths, it eases up. Maybe you're finding that too. After this breath, release. But take your time and go through the same steps as before. Extend your arms out. Use your arms as brakes to roll your spine down. Now find your final position, which might be legs stretching all the way out or something else. I'm taking the classic corpse pose position here. As you get there, make your last minor adjustments and then get into stillness, feeling your body long here, spread out on the ground, just like spreading peanut butter on a piece of toast. You don't want it to be too clumpy in one spot. You want to have an even spread. Now let go of any more practice in your body, in your breath, in your mind. You might press the tip of your tongue up toward the roof of your mouth just to give it somewhere to go. What would it be like if you had a moment in your day in which to do absolutely nothing? Direct your attention back to here and now. Let's take 3 7-second breaths to complete. Exhale, get to empty. Together, let's breathe in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and breathe out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Breathe in. Breathe out. Open your eyes, make your way back up to sit, and welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me for practice today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to having time to practice together again very soon. Until then.